I don't speak a lot of Russian, but I know what "niet" means, and that is what Russian President Vladimir Putin told the United States about whether or not he would extradite NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden. Putin, from a press conference in Finland where he is visiting, said, quote, "Mr. Snowden is a free man, and the sooner he chooses his final destination, the better it is for us and for him," end quote. That is not exactly what U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry felt, though. Take a look.
We're not looking for a confrontation. We're not ordering anybody. We're simply requesting, under a very normal procedure, for the transfer of somebody, just as we transferred to Russia 7 people in the last 2 years.
So what are the options now for the U.S. government? And despite an insistence that the Russians, have nothing to do with Snowden, might he ultimately be debriefed by the Russians?
Well, he's certainly going to be questioned by them. I do think that government officials within the Russian foreign services have a desire to see if they can extract any information. Keep in mind that this is an individual who has access to highly classified documents with respect to U.S. intelligence. There are many, many documents that he's aware of, intel that he's aware of that he hasn't actually disclosed. And you do remember when he was in Hong Kong, at least when he was discussing or talking to the South China Morning Post, he gave information about some of the surveillance tactics that the U.S. government has used on Chinese students and other government officials there. So I think that certainly Russian officials will be looking to get similar information from him. And there's not much that the United States government can do. You asked if they have any options. They're going to have at least one of these governments comply and be willing to extradite Snowden. There's no way that they can just obtain him from another country. Of course, there's no legal grounds to do that, especially if he is granted asylum somewhere, or if Russia's willing to give him a temporary place to stay. There's really nothing they can do other than hope that someone is willing to comply or at least give in to their demand and send him back to the United States. But that's actually looking increasingly unlikely, especially with Ecuador now taking up the case and saying they're interested in his story and how he's sort of upholding what he believes are civil rights and human rights. So it's looking a little messy. And I think it's only a matter of time before we're going to start to see some backlash toward the Obama administration. Certainly, Senator Tom Coburn was already on TV today saying this looks very bad on their foreign policy. It's embarrassing because China and Russia are involved. And I think you're going to start to see at least some Republicans certainly say that the administration didn't act fast enough and that perhaps they waited too long.